Ahoy, Minnetonka! I'm David Law, Superintendent at Minnetonka Public Schools. Thank you for joining us for our second episode of our new podcast, Ahoy, Minnetonka. Today our theme is celebration. Minnetonka Schools celebrates excellence in how our students and staff live, lead, and learn. We do this by honoring our teachers and staff and the dedication and drive they bring each day, by lifting up the achievements, milestones, and successes of our hardworking students, and by fostering the growth and connection, and by celebrating the unique and vibrant voices throughout the school district all year long. Joining me today are three special guests, one of our middle school principals, one of our communications staff members, and a soon-to-be graduate for the class of 2023. Will you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Lucy Hiller. I'm a senior at Minnetonka High School, and I will be graduating soon as a 2023 senior. A little bit about me. I have three younger brothers, so I am the oldest of four, which means my house is never quiet, so as you can imagine. But I do have two very supportive parents, and they have been with me throughout my journey at Minnetonka, which has been awesome. I started track and field when I was in 5th grade, so I was chosen for the 4x1, and I guess I just fell in love with it because here I am. I'm a varsity track captain and have been on the track team since I was a freshman. I stuck with track throughout middle school, but then in 7th grade I found my true passion, which is in design, lettering, graphic design, calligraphy, things like that. So I started my own small business in 7th grade, and when I came to Minnetonka as a freshman, I started the Minnetonka Design and Lettering Club, which has now 56 plus members, which is absolutely crazy, but it's just been an awesome journey. Our mission is giving back to the community with our skills in design, lettering, and creativity. And we support the community with posters and other marketing materials for nonprofits, local organizations, and clubs. After starting DNL, I started taking Vantage. So as a Vantage Design and Marketing student, I have been given so many amazing opportunities. And I think that is just like starting Vantage, being in Vantage has been one of the most amazing things coming to Minnetonka, because the opportunities I've been given are just crazy. Like, my portfolio has been done through Vantage, my resume's been done through Vantage, and then I also started working with a nonprofit, Letters of Love. Letters of Love is a nonprofit that gives back to children in hospitals and supports them with emotional support items. And recently, I became head of marketing materials for Letters of Love, which has been an awesome opportunity, and I'm super excited to keep working for them. So that's just a little bit about me.
Well, and a lot to celebrate there too, probably. Yeah.
I'm Mary Cornelius. I'm the communications specialist on our district communications team, and I always tell people that my job is celebrating the amazing stuff, like stories like yours, Lucy, just the amazing opportunities that students have, that teachers create, and just the amazing stuff going on in our community. I do a lot of feature storytelling, writing for our website and district publications. I also coordinate our social media strategy, so telling a lot of those stories on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those different platforms to get the stories out there. And then I also coordinate our monthly school board recognitions program. So that's a little more formal recognition. We recognize the academic, athletic activities and artistic achievements of our students. And so that is just a really exciting way to get to celebrate the amazing things that students do. And our communications team as a whole, we also do a lot of events for celebration. We just finished up the Celebration of Excellence, and that's an amazing opportunity to get to celebrate teachers and staff from all areas and volunteers for the ways that they make an impact for students.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. My name's Freya Schirmacher, so I'm the principal of Minnetonka Middle School West. And Lucy, it's great to hear your story, because really my job at West is to launch students to be able to find their passions in academics and activities and service and athletics. I mean, all the things you mentioned. It's kind of nice to hear, as you're a senior, that's kind of that's our end goal, but it's not really our end goal, because we know you're doing so much more beyond high school. So that's really exciting to hear about that. Before I was at MMW, I've been there for 3 years. I was an assistant principal at Minnetonka High School. And I started my career as a special education para and became a special education teacher and a reading teacher. And I kind of moved to different positions. So I'm so excited to be here at Minnetonka just to talk about how we honor and celebrate our students in our community.
Thank you all. Through the past year, I've been so impressed with the ways that we celebrate our students and staff. Mary, you referenced the Celebration of Excellence. I had the chance to be there and get involved with it. We honored more than 150 teachers, staff, and school volunteers. For those who didn't attend the Celebration of Excellence, it's available online, live streamed. I encourage you to watch the video on a YouTube channel. Mary, do you want to talk a little bit more about who gets celebrated that night and the process behind the scenes? I know that it comes up a lot.
Sure, yeah, I mean, it's, believe it or not, the planning for it starts all the way, in the winter before February. We open up the nominations to the community to nominate teachers, staff, and volunteers that have had an impact for child-centered excellence. And so we have a form open where students submit names, families, other staff members submit the names of teachers or staff members who they work with. And so we gather nominees for teacher awards, staff awards. There are a couple special named awards. The Joyce Gustafson Award, Brad Board Award is specific for elementary education. We have a newer one called the Judy Erdahl Award that recognizes a staff member in the Minnetonka Community Education Department. But it's all about people who are making an impact for students. And so once we get those nominations, there's a whole committee that reads through the applications, and the committee is made up of people that have won the award in the past. So they choose the winners, we get to notify them, and then we go through the big process of getting ready for the event. So our videographer, Andy Smith, puts together some beautiful videos highlighting the stories of these individuals that have won awards, and then we all get ready for the big night, and it's just a wonderful time. We totally pack the auditorium, all 700 seats, and it's family, it's students cheering for their teachers, it's staff members cheering for each other, getting to really celebrate those moments. Well, I'm curious what your experience was, since this was your first one that you were part of.
It was so fun because it's hard to picture that event and all the energy in the event. Just when a group of employees or a group of community members line up and everyone's cheering and then their name is called and then they're cheering, it's one of the bigger celebration events I've been part of. And the energy, the positive energy and tearful impacts for people. I can remember someone who came up who could barely catch her breath. She was honored to be named, and I think it was the Judy Erdahl Award, and she had known Judy Erdahl. And so winning that award after someone who she clearly had a lot of respect for, you could see the full picture of the connection in the community that Minnetonka feel for. We're all in this same place. It was powerful and it was fun to see, and that was just a small sample of the staff and volunteers. Yeah. Well, that was a unique event. Freya, as a principal, you're celebrating all year long. I've attended some of your meetings for both students celebrating and for staff where you celebrate every staff meeting. What are some of the things that a principal does to celebrate throughout the year?
Right, and celebration is important too. Teachers, it's a social job. However, teachers really spend most of their day in a room full of students. And we don't get really a chance to come together as a community too often. And I really believe that celebration is a reflection of our community, and it can be small. Like Celebration of Excellence is a huge event that really culminates a whole year of excellence, right? And in our schools, we try to celebrate the small events too. So, for example, we have bi-monthly staff meetings. And at the beginning of every staff meeting, we just want to take a moment to shout out what are the big life events that have happened that we need to celebrate as a community, because we haven't maybe even come together in 2 weeks. We don't see each other's faces as much. So for example, I learned somebody was getting married. I learned that we had a staff who was getting a national recognition for the Best Buddies organization. These are things I didn't know, but we were able to communicate that together and celebrate as a group. So it's so fun, and I believe it's those small little moments of connection that build community. And then we can truly celebrate together. And so that's just a small way. We do something called Staff Member of the Week, Staff Westie of the Week, the Staff Wow. And that's actually where students nominate teachers to receive the Staff Westie Award. And so every Monday we reveal the Westie of the Week live on the morning announcements. And we have a big obnoxious trophy that we travel week to week, and students will bug me all morning. Who is it? Who is it this week? But it's the big reveal. And so that's another way we just honor the great things that teachers do. And then actually teachers also nominate students. So we have 6th and 7th and 8th grade Westies of the Week every week announced on live announcements. So those kinds of things are ways that we shout out each other and celebrate each other's accomplishments, big and small. We have bigger events. We have something that we call the Full Sail Awards, which happens twice a year, where staff nominates students kind of for the non-academic contributions they bring to school. So, it could be their sense of humor in the classroom, it could be their leadership, it could be their perseverance or their friendliness, where we can really share. We bring in families to kind of talk a little bit about the student. That's actually my favorite. Those are my favorite events of the year, because you get to celebrate with families too. So families, students, and teachers coming together. And every teacher says, this is my favorite. It really fills my bucket. And it's great to see the kids who maybe don't get all the other recognitions, but they get singled out for the great things they do. So those are just a few things we do at MNW.
Awesome. Thank you, Lucy. You shared in your introduction some of the things you're involved with Vantage and with the letters and those partnerships and certainly some of the acknowledgement you've received in the community, and as well as track. Through your time here, what are some of your favorite celebrations as you think back, maybe all the way back to middle school at MME? What are some of the things that you remember that you thought, people noticed me?
Totally. I think one of the main things that sticks out to me is Erickson's amazing Instagram posts. I feel like every week I get so excited to see the student of the week or things like that. I remember earlier this year I got chosen as Art Students of the Week, and it was just really nice to feel like my peers and even my teachers were recognizing me for some of the work I did, and I got that award from Minnetonka Design Lettering Club. So not only was I raising awareness for my club, but then I also felt like I was being honored for something that I had done, which was awesome, and I feel like this community is so supportive. Another awesome thing that I think Minnetonka does is the feature stories. So my work with Vantage and Letters of Love, that got a feature story, and getting to see all the hard work pay off and be in this article and just be honored was super, super cool, and I really appreciated all the hard work that everyone put into it. Another awesome thing is homecoming. Homecoming and Pet Fest. I was on homecoming court this year, and it was just the best way to start my senior year. I made so many friends. I built such a strong community going into my senior year, and I also think that the way that Erickson and just the peers and students all come together and just celebrate our community during dances and things like that, it all honors the hard work that we do throughout the school year, which is really nice.
Yeah, I've had the chance to watch Principal Erickson interact with students. I mean, even at homecoming, I can remember my first homecoming parade, and the connection and the pride that students have, and the fun between staff members and students. It has a special feel.
Totally.
Mary, I wonder if you think back over the past year, if there's a celebration event that stands out to you. Is there something you think about or a story you're told that you think is one for the year that you'd say that was one of my favorites?
I have, there's one from last spring, so it's coming up a little older than a year, but we were able to tell the story of a student at Scenic Heights Elementary. It was right around the time that the war in the Ukraine was breaking out, and so he thought to himself, he's like, okay, this is a huge global event. What can I do? How can I make a difference? Like his mom is actually from Poland, and they were receiving refugees in his mom's village, and so his mom was telling him about what was going on, and he was thinking about kids his age who were over there, and he was like, you know what? I love basketball. What if I put together a fundraiser with basketball and raise money for the refugee kids that are coming into, my mom's village? And so it started off just as this little thing. His mom shared it on Facebook. He's like, I wanna make $500 for, this little community. And it totally took off. I mean, we got the email from the principal, from Joe Walker at Scenic Heights. He's like, hey, we've got this story. This is, it's getting bigger. They wanted to raise $500. They did that. They tripled that. They were raising thousands of dollars. And so we got to write a feature story about it, kind of feature that student and his efforts, and connected with our media, our local media as well. And so there was a story on the local news, and then it got picked up as part of a national news story about the ways that people were, responding and supporting those in need across the world. And so that was really I think in the end they raised over $30,000 for. I know, it was so cool, and it was what the fundraiser was. Students were shooting hoops for Ukraine.
And I know that story made it in our annual report last year too, so there's a page dedicated to that.
Yes, and so it's fun to get to, kind of follow that story, and part of what we do on the communications team is when we have a story like that, we're like, okay, how can we share this in our different channels and different mediums so that we can celebrate what students are doing and just inform our community so they know, service is such an important part of what we do at Minnetonka, and student voice, and that I feel like that story is just really is an amazing example of both of those things coming together.
You mentioned student voice, and Freya, I know you've had the chance to have students present at the board meeting. Sometimes including student voice is a way of celebrating those students for their initiative. Mm-hmm. What are some ways that MMW you've focused on student voice as a way to both celebrate staff or students or school initiatives?
Wow, well, the student voice is the most powerful voice in the school. I mean, hands down. And that's the voice I really want to turn my ear to and listen to. And so I look to provide really as many opportunities as I can to amplify that voice, because as students are in middle school, they're just beginning to kind of find that. I mean, we have students in elementary who are like discovering their passions, and I think in middle school too is how can I provide these opportunities for student voice. So just a few examples. Our Women of Color, we have a Women of Color group, has really led the way in recognizing some of our heritage months. So for example, right now, currently it's Asian American Pacific Islander Month. And so these students on their own took the initiative to create short history, short bios of prominent Asian American Pacific Islander women, and they share this with the whole school via our live morning announcements. I know also for Black History Month, these students created a trivia contest where they posted daily trivia questions on our Schoology pages, and then students could, answer and get prizes. So just fun ways to really give students that leadership opportunities. One example too is our Best Buddies Club. So we have actually one of the state's largest Best Buddies, middle level Best Buddies Club.
And you want to describe what Best Buddies are?
Yeah, so it's a national actually an international organization that seeks to build friendships and connections with students with and without disabilities to really foster inclusion and community so all students can have great experiences together. And so we have really worked hard to kind of allow students to share their passion for inclusion, but it's not just about talking, it's about teaching. And so these student leaders are able to actually connect with other students to kind of open up these conversations. Because in middle school is about learning. And we make mistakes and we learn through mistakes. And sometimes our ways of thinking shift towards kindness. But without students leading that pathway, I mean, that's how students are growing and getting ready for high school, kind of learning about how to accept others, what maybe at one point made them uncomfortable, how to confront that feeling, learn from it, and in that sense, understand more about each other and become more inclusive. And students have led the charge with that. That's not me getting in front of the school. That's students getting in front of the school. And I guess I'm so proud of those students, and I'm always looking for ways to provide that platform for students. And I guess it's ongoing to how else can we offer that leadership and that student voice at the middle level.
Yeah. It's great. I've seen your students at the school board. I see the pride that they have, and I see your pride in those students. So, Lucy, you mentioned Vantage, and one of the things that I experienced this year for the first time that I wonder if you could go into a little bit is Shark Tank. And how does Shark Tank, how is that a celebration of student work?
Okay, so I know Global Business does their version of Shark Tank, but we kind of do the same thing with working with company projects or developing kind of ideation and going through the research and then ultimately coming out with a product. And then for our class, Design and Marketing, we come up with a marketing strategy, we conduct research through surveys and other primary and secondary research, and then ultimately reaching the deliverables that our clients ask for us. So for me, I worked for Letters of Love and also Mostly Made, but my favorite project was the Sustainable Ice Cream Project, where our team teamed up with the Global Sustainability Strand, and we marketed their sustainable ice cream. And it was the best, oh, you're good. It was the best project. I loved creating logos for them, and it was also really fun to work with kids that thought so differently. Mm-hmm. We had a sustainable side and then also this marketing side, and how could we tell their story, but how could they get their side across? And it was really fun to just honor all the hard work that we did, and our team ended up winning that competition, which was just super fun. And I think the Shark Tank aspect of it, of competing against one another, but then also honoring and celebrating everyone else's hard work, was just a great time.
Yeah, that was my experience when I watched the finals here on Shark Tank. You know, all the room and people pitching their product, and the staff just sitting back and really admiring how much those kids had come along in the process. It was very fun. And as I described it to other people outside the system, they were amazed that that happens here.
Yeah.
So that's very, very fun. Giving back is such an important part of our community. And we have a celebration that I've experienced in November about celebration of service and celebrating service from our students and from our community members. Just for any one of you, is there a service activity? I know you mentioned letters of love. Are there service activities that are celebrated that stick out with you? Because that's another point of pride in the district. Maybe you want to start with your service activity.
Design and Lettering Club,
Yep.
or Letters of Love. I think Design and Lettering Club, it definitely has that. It's a club that gives back. And I know there's a ton of clubs at Minnetonka that do that, but I think we are special because we give back to this community, and this community in particular. The nonprofits we work for, the local organizations we work for, the other clubs at Minnetonka, we're all giving back to them, and it's students supporting students, which is, I think, a Minnetonka motto at this point, is just how can we support one another and give back.
Mary, can you talk a little bit about Celebration of Service? That's another event that I attended for the first time, and I was amazed that we give all of these awards to our students and our staff and community members. What for the community who might not be aware of it, what is that event about?
Yeah, so it is coordinated through our Tonka Serves office, which is just an amazing, Sarah Johnson is the staff member there who just coordinates service opportunities for the community. But the Celebration of Service is kind of the culmination of all those events. Students, and it's actually not limited to students, it can be families or adults, are invited to tally up their service hours for to earn the President's Volunteer Service Award. So the Celebration of Service is where those awards are handed out, and also the high school varsity letter in community service. So those are based around community service hours, but it's amazing to see the variety of projects that students volunteer in. I mean, Sarah's one of my favorite people to talk to when I'm trying to find stories in the community. I'm like, oh, Sarah, what's going on? And she, I mean, last summer there was a student at Groveland who he planted a garden, and all of the fruits and vegetables that he grew there, he donated to ICA. And like, that was his summer service project. And then I know there's students at the high school that have a digital service service club, and so they are computer science interested students, and they use those skills to serve the community. Yeah, it's really, so I think the cool thing about the Celebration of Service is kind of like the Celebration of Excellence. We get to put together little videos that are talking about all those different stories that come up from, you know, the ways that students are involved in the community. And so that's a fun time to celebrate all the things going on in the fall.
That reminds me, just recently, in the local paper, they ran a story celebrating our students at MME who do the water walk, which is
That
for...
was so fun. That was the highlight of my middle school.
It's funny that you say that, because we visited students at MME and MMW last week, and when we asked them what was your favorite part about MME, a lot of them said the water walk.
Yeah, it was a really
Can you just talk about that? It was a celebration for the school, but it was also a celebration of the school in the local paper. Tell me about that event.
If it's the same as it was when I was in 8th grade, I think students got to make certain things. So they could make cookies or do crafts or things like that, and then they could sell them at the water walk and raise money for Haiti. And then other students could also do walks, and then they could get sponsored. And for the amount of laps or miles that they did, they could get paid for those miles, and then that would also go back to Haiti, which it was just an awesome opportunity for kids to just get involved with Minnetonka.
Yeah. Okay, so we're almost out of time. It's May. It feels like there's a celebration every night. Thinking of the end of the year, what are some of the celebrations you have coming up between now and the end of the school year? Freya, I'll have you go first.
Well, starting really small, we've got our first annual spring cookout for staff. On Friday afternoon, we'll be grilling for all staff in our courtyard, so we're hoping for good weather. Again, just getting together, celebrating over a meal, one less lunch to pack. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Mary?
I'll let Lucy talk about graduation, but I'm
You stole mine.
I'm looking forward to it as well because I get to work with the photographer who takes all the pictures to document the event, and so it's always one of my favorite parts of the day to get to see, just all that joy, but through the lens.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, so adding on graduation, I cannot believe I am a senior this year, which is crazy. Time has flown, but yeah, this is just, everything's moving very fast, and I think just slowing down and soaking it all in is what I'm ready to celebrate, and just being with my team and my peers and my teachers for this final month is going to be really awesome.
I love that slowing down. Celebration is slowing down because it's recognizing, what's happened and what's moving forward. So.
Well, ultimately, a school district's goal is to successfully graduate students so they can go on and be, successful in whatever they want. So graduation for me is one of my favorite events of the school year, just because students and families have this sense of completion. There's that, I'm doing something else, but for today, I did it. Yeah. And that is one of my favorite celebrations of the year. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Ahoy Minnetonka. I hope you'll join us again next time.